Valentine. After the break, we discuss the issue of access to Bob Marley Beach with Devon Taylor and Dr. Marcus Goff. We'll soon come.
Residents of the Bull Bay community in St. Thomas are reportedly being displaced to facilitate the construction of an exclusive hotel on the world-renowned Bob Marley Beach. So joining us now to talk about this is President of the Jamaica Beach Birthright Environmental Movement, Devon Taylor. He's on Zoom. And Attorney at Law, Dr. Marcus Goff. Morning, gentlemen. Welcome to Smile.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Mr. Taylor, let's start with you. What's the update regarding the plans to build a hotel on the lands in St. Thomas?
So as to the specific plans around the hotel, we don't have any update other than what is in the media. JABEM is really positioned to work with the communities to protect the access to the space, to work with the fisher folks to protect their livelihood, and to work with Rastafari there to protect the heritage of the Nile Bingis who have been occupying that space since late 1950s. So we don't have any updates regarding the plans other than what's out there regarding construction that would lead to loss of beach access, displacement of fisher folks, and impact on livelihood.
Yeah.
What's the potential impact here, though? I mean, it's quite a contentious issue. We're talking about lives and livelihood being severely impacted, but let's just get down into it a little bit.
Well, I mean, when we think about our natural resources, we think of them as things that we can enjoy, we can use for benefit, leisure, and livelihoods, right? So the natural resources of Jamaica are to be available to be used sustainably, of course, right, for and by all Jamaicans. Mm-hmm. And so when we have things like our beaches where people go to for leisure, for family time, as well as I say, for livelihoods and so forth, for generations, then we can't allow there to be loose management of those resources. Mm-hmm. There needs to be clear management, clear rights, and certainly the public must have access, to those beaches in perpetuity.
The question I have to ask, though, is how have we gotten to this point, given the long-term access to the beach, to the facility, to the community that has been offered? Why are we here now? Couldn't we have settled on who the owners of the land are, etc.? Just to have all of that on record, so then we don't end up in a situation like this.
Right. Well, I mean, Jamaica has for a long time had this battle of resources, right, between the landed and the unlanded, right? And so I think this is just a continuation of that. And because of interest in Jamaica, tourists and other interest in Jamaica for many, many decades, we've had this ongoing battle where we've had lip service being paid to the public having beach access unrestricted. At the same time, strong, of course, international and other lobbies that want to have privatization of beaches. So this is a long-standing issue, which I think, again, time has passed, for us to be able to deal with it in a proper, legal, and clear way.
Yeah, before I get back to Mr. Taylor, there's a Beach Control Act.
Yes.
Of 1956, Dr. Goff. What does that stipulate? And how does it come to bear on a situation like this?
Right, so it establishes the Beach Control Authority, which is run, or the powers exercised by the NRCA, to essentially regulate beaches, give beach licenses to persons who want to use beaches, and essentially it speaks to how the proprietors of land adjoining beaches have certain rights in respect of those beaches, and the public have certain rights up to, again, the watermark level in the law. That therefore means you would have to, in the public's perspective, only go through the sea to get to the beaches.
Oh.
But the issue of trying to access a beach without going on the land is where the problems lie, because then the private landowners have their land rights, and the public's rights to access the beach often gets impeded in that process.
Yeah. Mr. Taylor, Garth alluded to it earlier. What has been the stakeholder discussion heading into this moment? Were the fisher folk approached? Were the people in the area approached to say, listen, this is what is going to happen, and you will have to be I guess, forced to move or to shift your thinking. Did that take place?
So this is why we acted. The discussion was a discussion that was says you have to leave because this is going to happen. There was no conversation with respect to that your rights will be protected, that the community rights will be protected, and the Jamaican public will still have access to the space. No, that did not happen. It was that you have to pack up and you have to go. And so, as Dr. Marcus, pointed out earlier, the Beach Control Act of 1956 does not give Jamaican the general rights to access the space. And any property owner can actually fence their property and block access, which is very, common along the North Coast. You drive along the North Coast, all the hotel walls are built. There's no access to the beach. So this is what's going to happen, and there was no discussion with the community to say your access will be protected. This is why our association, our movement is pushing for a sustainable change, for a change in the law. We want a repeal and a replacement of the Beach Control Act to be replaced by a more progressive legislation that gives Jamaica general rights of access.
Mm-hmm.
Share with us a little about the injunction now that you filed.
Yes.
To prevent people from losing access to the beach, losing land, etc.
Right. So, yes, we applied to the Supreme Court for an injunction to essentially stop the threatened demolition of homes and other family premises there, particularly of the Stevenson family. This case being represented by Mr. Norman Stevenson, who is the son of one of the ancient Nyabingi defenders of Bob Marley Beach, Bongo Gabi. So that family is currently being protected by the injunction that was granted by the Supreme Court last week, Friday. Mm-hmm. We're also going to be filing tomorrow in the parish court a claim for prescriptive rights for the public. So the public will always be able, forever after, to enjoy Bob Marley Beach and its resources.
Yeah. There was something in the paper, the information minister said on Friday that the government hasn't given anybody permission to restrict access to the beach or take over the beach. How do you respond to that?
Well, that is really looking at it in a narrow perspective in terms of they haven't given a beach license, right? But as we're saying, the issue is that the land rights of landowners who have land adjoining the beach is where the problem lies, because they then exercise the right to restrict who they want to restrict, right, to access the beach, when in fact the law gives the public the right to traverse those private persons' properties to enable them to access the beach. Right. And that's where we have the conflict. Mm-hmm. And so the law needs to be clear on that point, and I think that certainly we can do more in Jamaica 60 to clarify these rights.
Yeah, Mr. Taylor says the company executing the project owns 200 acres of land. They can still own a beach for themselves, but why do they want Bob Marley Beach? Why do you think that is?
Because I think Bob Marley is an international brand. Mm-hmm. So by owning Bob Marley space, I mean, obviously you'll benefit financially. But listen, this space is a heritage space. This is a national treasure. Mm-hmm. Beaches, rivers are national treasures. And this is where I think the government needs to be more proactive. There are mechanisms in the law, the Prescription Act, that will allow us to really gain access to the space. And this full time that the government act proactively in the interest of Jamaicans to create easement on all land adjoining to the beach. And we would get away from this conflict. On the point of beach license are also restrictive elements. And we can just point towards the North Coast. There are just many examples of how beach license restrict the public use of the space. So we really need a very good, conversation with the powers to sit down and say, fix the law, create easement on all land adjoining the foreshore, adjoining on the beach, and we will get away from these conflicts. They're national treasures. They're our birthright, and we need to protect them for the people and share them with the rest of the world.
On the matter of, we're just running out of time, but I still want to just squeeze it in. On the matter of having a conversation, did you start to have that conversation before ending up in court? Was there any kind of, prelude to this?
Well, there were several phone calls from Wolf, as I say, in a threatening manner. And, the police and other political representatives had also sent messages that they had to leave. And so there wasn't an engagement in terms of, well, you have rights and we want to respect those rights. It was really an issue of If you don't go, we will demolish what is there.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Wow. Well, we hope that there is some kind of resolution that works for everyone, because that is important. It's out of many, one people, and we have to always stay true to that here in this country. But I want to thank you both for speaking with us this morning. President of the Jamaica Beach Birthright Environmental Movement, Devon Taylor, and in studio with us, attorney at law, Dr. Marcus Goff.